August 11th, 2022, 2:30 p.m., Auckland, New Zealand. A man who had won a storage unit auction was bringing his purchased items home. As he dragged down the heavy suitcase and pulled the zipper open, he found himself face to face with a horrifying sight that would haunt him for the rest of his life. What emerged from the suitcase wasn't travel gear. It was a small, withered hand, followed by hair, and then the body of a child. What on earth is this? The auction winner immediately called the police. When police arrived, they discovered another child's body in the second suitcase, an 8-year-old girl and a 6-year-old boy. They had been trapped in these cramped bags for 4 long years. But this was just the beginning. The truth that police would uncover was a family tragedy beyond imagination, and at its center was a mother's shocking choice. What would you have suspected first in this situation? And what do you think happened to these 2 children? Leave your theories in the comments. No one could have predicted how this story would end. Mia, age 8, and Alex, age 6, lived in a quiet residential neighborhood in Auckland. They were ordinary, active siblings. Mia was a calm child who loved drawing at school, while Alex was an energetic boy who enjoyed soccer and video games. The 2 children especially loved spending time with their father. On weekends, they would play soccer with him in the park or build sandcastles at the beach. Mia loved showing her father the pictures she drew, while Alex's happiest time of day was playing PlayStation games with his father. Princess Mia and Hero Alex were the nicknames the 2 children used in the Minecraft game. Mia loved building beautiful castles in the game, while Alex dreamed of becoming a brave hero fighting monsters. The teachers and friends at school remembered the 2 children as bright and innocent. Mia was a kind child who would try to finish her school lunch completely, saying, "We should think about the children in Africa too." Alex was a warm-hearted child who would be the first to run to a friend who had fallen and ask, "Are you okay?" Until June 2018, the 2 children continued their ordinary daily lives, going to school, playing with friends, and gaming just like any other day. Even until the end of June 2018, when their last game records were saved, they must have believed that tomorrow would come, that another ordinary day would begin. But they didn't know. They had no idea that everything would end at the hands of the person who should have loved them most. Grace Lee was an ordinary mother from an immigrant family who had moved from Korea to New Zealand. Outwardly, she appeared quiet and introverted, but her affection for her family didn't seem particularly remarkable. However, in 2017, a tragedy struck that would completely change her life. Her beloved husband was diagnosed with cancer. The entire family was shocked by the sudden news, but Grace Lee tried to care for her husband while keeping the family together. But her husband's condition deteriorated rapidly, and he passed away at the end of 2017. Suddenly, 42-year-old Grace Lee faced the heavy reality of having to raise 2 children, ages 8 and 6, all by herself. According to witnesses, even when her husband was alive, Grace Lee didn't show much interest in the children. The children mainly spent time with their father, while Grace Lee focused on housework or her own personal time. After her husband passed away, Grace Lee's mental state began to deteriorate rapidly. Financial difficulties, the burden of childcare, and deep grief were weighing her down. She even appeared with self-inflicted wounds, claiming she had been assaulted by an unknown man. However, police investigation found no evidence of such a man's existence, and the wounds appeared to be self-inflicted. Eventually, Grace Lee was admitted to a psychiatric hospital and received treatment for some time. However, her mother, the children's maternal grandmother, came to visit and urged her to be discharged. Grace Lee was discharged while not fully recovered. It was around this time that something unthinkably horrific would occur. On an ordinary evening in June 2018, the last ordinary family time was passing in a small house in Auckland. Mia and Alex were having dinner and playing Minecraft together on PlayStation. "Mia, look at the sword I made. It's diamond." "Wow, Alex, that's really cool. I'm going to build another castle." According to the children's game records, they continued playing games consistently until the end of June. They achieved new trophies, went on adventures together, and made plans to meet their game friends again tomorrow. But Grace Lee was looking elsewhere. 6 months had passed since her husband's death, but the wounds in her heart had not healed. Rather, her thoughts when looking at the two children were becoming increasingly dark. According to later witness testimony, during this period, Grace Lee made a shocking statement. The children should have died first. In her deep grief over losing her husband, despair about being left alone was driving her to extreme thoughts. If someone had noticed her state of mind at that moment, if appropriate help had been provided, if the children had been placed with their father's family or other relatives. But fate flowed in the cruelest direction. After the end of June 2018, when Mia and Alex's last game records were saved, these two children would never log online again. And their mother would make an unimaginable choice. The exact date is unknown, but one night in late June 2018, the saddest thing in the world was happening in a house in Auckland. Grace Lee prepared the antidepressant nortriptyline. How this drug came into her possession, or exactly when she began planning, is unclear. But what is certain is that she felt she could no longer endure. "Mom, I'm hungry." "Mom, we're going to school tomorrow, right?" An ordinary evening, ordinary conversation. But in Grace Lee's mind, an irreversible decision had already been made. According to court revelations, antidepressant components were detected in both children's bodies. However, because they were discovered so long after the fact, it was difficult to determine the exact cause of death. Whether the children died directly from the drugs or lost their lives through other means while unconscious from the medication is still something investigators are trying to determine. What we know for certain is just one thing. That night, Mia and Alex would no longer wait for tomorrow. The actions Grace Lee took after the crime show that she clearly knew what she had done. She placed each child's body in large suitcases. Then she stored these suitcases in a storage unit in Auckland, as casually as if she were storing ordinary moving boxes. Storage fees were paid regularly each month, at least initially. In July 2018, shortly after the incident, Grace Lee left for Korea. No one suspected her sudden departure. It seemed natural for someone to return to their homeland after losing their husband and being in great distress. But no one knew. She hadn't left the children behind, but had left them in those cold storage unit suitcases. From 2018 to 2022, 4 long years passed. During this time, there are no records of any official missing person reports or searches conducted for Mia and Alex. This is one of the most heartbreaking aspects of this case. 2 children disappeared, yet no one was looking for them. The school probably thought they had moved away, and friends might have wondered about the children's sudden absence. But it was likely assumed that their mother had taken them when she returned to Korea. After returning to Korea, Grace Lee changed her name. She appeared to be trying to start a new life with a new identity. Meanwhile, at the Auckland storage facility, payment of storage fees became increasingly irregular. For the first few months, payments were made regularly, but over time, late payments became frequent. The storage company tried to contact her several times, but couldn't reach her. Of course they couldn't. The contractor was already in Korea, living under a new name. In early 2022, the storage fee delinquency finally exceeded the deadline. According to New Zealand law, delinquent stored items are put up for auction. The storage company followed legal procedures and made public notices. When they couldn't make contact, they decided to proceed with the auction. No one knew what was inside those suitcases, or what it meant. August 11, 2022 was an ordinary Thursday. At an Auckland storage auction house, an auction was proceeding like any other day. Delinquent stored items were put up for auction one by one. Furniture, electronics, personal belongings, and a lot that included 2 black suitcases. A man won the bid for this lot. Judging by the considerable weight of the suitcases, he thought they might contain something valuable. Perhaps clothes, books, or precious personal items. At 2:30 p.m., he brought the winning items to his home. He opened the zipper of the first suitcase. At that moment, the most shocking scene of his life unfolded. What? What is this? He saw a small shriveled hand, then hair, small clothes. He immediately stepped back. But he had to accept reality. It was a child's body. With trembling hands, he called the police. Police? I've discovered a child's body. When police arrived, the scene was shocking. Even experienced investigators had never encountered such a situation. When they opened the second suitcase, another child's body was found. A girl who appeared to be about 8 years old, and a boy who appeared to be about 6 years old. Crime scene investigators immediately began their work. Even after 4 years had passed, identification was possible. Through DNA testing and dental records, the identities of the two children were confirmed. Mia, age 8, and Alex, age 6. Siblings who had been missing since 2018. But an even more shocking fact awaited. During the investigation, it was revealed that their mother, Grace Lee, had left for Korea immediately after the incident and was still residing in Korea. The same thought immediately occurred to all the investigators. Could it be the mother? New Zealand police immediately began a joint investigation with Korean police. Tracking Grace Lee's whereabouts was urgent. The investigation revealed surprising facts. Grace Lee had entered Korea in July 2018 and had no record of departure. She had changed her name in Korea. She was living a normal life under a new identity. At 1 a.m. on September 15, 2022, Grace Lee was arrested at an apartment in Ulsan Metropolitan City. It was the moment when the suspect was finally confronted after 4 years. Meanwhile, in New Zealand, a detailed autopsy was being conducted. Although 4 years had passed, important clues could be found using modern forensic techniques. Key findings included detection of the antidepressant nortriptyline in both children's bodies. No signs of external trauma were found. Based on the condition of the bodies, it was estimated they died around June 2018. Digital evidence showed the last PlayStation game records from late June 2018. The last activity of Princess Mia and hero Alex accounts, with complete disconnection afterward. This digital evidence played a crucial role in pinpointing the time of death. The process of extraditing Grace Lee from Korea to New Zealand was complex. On October 27, 2022, Korea's Ministry of Justice ordered an extradition review request. On November 11, Seoul High Court approved the criminal extradition request. The Ministry of Justice finally decided on extradition. On November 30, 2022, Grace Lee was extradited to New Zealand and appeared at Manukau District Court in South Auckland. After 4 years, the perpetrator had returned to the scene of the crime. The trial was originally scheduled to begin in April 2024, but more time was needed for various legal procedures and evidence collection. The trial was postponed to September 8, 2025, and finally began at Auckland High Court. Grace Lee is denying the murder charges, and her defense team is claiming insanity. September 8, 2025. The trial finally begins. After 7 long years, the trial to uncover the truth finally began. The world's attention was focused on Auckland High Court. The prosecution claims this is a clear murder case. They point to her immediate flight to Korea after the incident, systematic cover-up attempts including name change, and methodical planned crime including storage unit placement. The defense claims extreme psychological shock after the husband's death. They argue she took actions while mentally incompetent and deny responsibility based on psychiatric hospital admission records. During the trial, shocking testimonies came to light. Witnesses testified about Grace Lee's disturbing statement. The children should have died first. They also revealed her indifference toward the children even during her husband's lifetime, as well as her sexual assault claims, which investigators suspected were self-inflicted. The scientific evidence presented in court focused on several key areas. First, the significance of nortriptyline detection in both children's bodies. Second, the correlation between the estimated time of death and the children's final game records. Third, detailed analysis of the storage conditions and the condition of the bodies after 4 years. However, several aspects of the case remain unclear. Questions surrounding the cause of death persist. Investigators are still trying to determine whether the antidepressants were the direct cause of death, or whether other methods were used in combination with the drugs. The passage of time has also led to significant evidence loss, making definitive conclusions difficult. The question of mental incompetence is equally complex. Experts must evaluate the degree of Grace Lee's psychological shock, while also explaining the contradiction between her claimed mental state and her apparently planned behavior following the crime. The court must make a careful judgment by considering all this evidence. This case has shocked both New Zealand and Korean society, leading to significant changes in multiple areas. The tragedy has sparked improvements in child protection systems. Authorities are now working to strengthen missing child reporting systems, develop early detection systems for families in crisis, and expand mental health support services. The case has also contributed to the development of international investigative cooperation. The Korea-New Zealand joint investigation has become a model case, demonstrating the expansion of digital evidence utilization and the development of new investigation techniques for long-term cases. This case demands deep reflection on family breakdown, mental health, and social safety nets beyond being a simple criminal case. Mia and Alex. These two children, who passed away at the young ages of 8 and 6, are now resting eternally in a warm place, not in cold suitcases. In the Minecraft game they last played, Princess Mia never completed her beautiful castle, and hero Alex never went on his final adventure. But we want to believe that they have now become real princes and princesses, playing together forever in a place where there is no danger. This case teaches us several important lessons about mental health, social responsibility, and the value of life. The importance of mental health cannot be overstated. This tragedy shows how dangerous psychological shock and depression can be. If there are people around you who need help, don't turn away but extend a helping hand. The need for social safety nets is also crucial. When a family collapses, there must be systems to protect children especially. Schools, neighbors, and communities must all show interest together. The preciousness of life must always be remembered. No matter how desperate the situation, harming innocent lives can never be justified. Especially when parents harm their children, it is unforgivable. The current trial of Grace Lee continues today. In court, fierce battles are taking place between her claims of mental incompetence and the prosecution's charges of intentional murder. Whatever verdict comes out, the lives of the two children already lost will not return. But we hope that through this trial, the truth will be clearly revealed, and such tragedies will never be repeated. Two children who were trapped for 4 long years in a narrow storage unit and in dark, cold suitcases. Perhaps now they have finally found true peace in a spacious, warm place. And perhaps they have reunited with their father who went to heaven first in 2017, sharing stories they couldn't tell before. Dad, we waited so long. Now we can play games together again, right? If there are families around you experiencing difficulties, please show even small interest. Sometimes a word of greeting, sometimes a moment of help can save a family. And if you yourself are in a situation that's difficult to handle, don't try to endure it alone. Seek professional help. There are many places to get help, such as mental health counseling centers and crisis counseling hotlines. What are your thoughts on this case? How can we prevent such tragedies? Please share your opinions in the comments. There are things that don't disappear even with the passage of time. Truth, justice, and our memory of innocent lives. Although 4 long years have passed, the truth is finally being revealed through forensic science techniques and international cooperation. Small traces of the digital age, game records, online activities, digital footprints, have become silent witnesses telling the truth. The story of Mia and Alex now ends, but the message they left us will continue. Following the faintly fading clues in the darkness, truth inevitably reveals itself. As long as we don't give up, justice is ultimately realized. Next time, we'll return with another mystery story. Please help these precious stories not be forgotten with your subscriptions and likes. The journey to find truth continues. This content was produced based on public court records and media reports, and dealt only with objective facts, so as not to influence the ongoing trial. The purpose of this content is to raise social awareness while not damaging the honor of the victims.